What if peace isn't found in fixing everything, but flowing with it? What if clarity doesn't come from overthinking, but from aligning with the rhythm of life itself? Today, we explore an axiom that speaks to the core of spiritual living, one that invites us to return to simplicity, integrity, and the heart of what is real. This isn't just philosophy, this is a path, a code, a way to live in truth, walk in the light, and return to the harmony your soul never forgot. Welcome to the new Ashla Podcast. Hello and welcome to the new Ashla Podcast. Today we continue this series on the book, The Light Within, Journey Through the Axioms of Ashla. I'm your host and author of the book, Justin Gates, and I am joined today, as always, by my right-hand man, my co-host, Michael Perry.
Hey, fam.
Also hanging out with us, but you can't see her, is Heather.
Hello.
So the axiom of light we're going to be talking about today is live in accordance with the nature of things. In dwelling, live close to the land. In meditation, go deep into the heart. In dealing with others, always stand by your word. I know this was one of your favorite axioms, Michael.
Well, even before I started this journey, I saw the truth in that all things truly happen for a reason. When we go through hardships, when you go through struggles, there's always lessons, places to grow, things to learn. And so when I first read this axiom, it really hit home with me because I was going through a hard time. And even in that hard time, I was actively looking for what is this trying to teach me? What is this trying to help me grow with? And I feel just that perspective alone did wonders for my journey and what I was going through. And it always has, because I've had that perspective since I was in high school.
Yeah. This is one that I have to come back to over and over again, simply because sometimes we stray from the flow of things, and everything has a flow. So I don't know if these shows that I'm about to talk about are still up on the KOA archived podcast, but I did a series called The Road to Recovery, and it was after I broke my leg. Broke my leg really bad. You remember when I broke my leg up in Monument? I broke it pretty bad. Like I had to have a bunch of surgeries, and I was out for 6 months at least, including the recovery or the, what do you call it? Physical therapy. So, and during that time that I couldn't do anything, I couldn't work, there was a lot of really dark introspection that was happening there, because really I brought myself to a breaking point, literally. And that illustrated to me that when you get out of the flow of things, and I was out of touch, I was kind of off kilter in a lot of ways. There was a lot of stuff going on at home. There was a lot of stuff going on around me. There was stuff going on at work. Just everywhere I went, there was stuff going on. And I wasn't in good harmony. The KOA was, for lack of a better term, it had kind of stopped. And so that brought me to a lot of revelations and a lot of hard truths. So we're going to talk about that today. We're not going to talk about the road to recovery today. Maybe someday I'll post it up on the new Ashla Podcast so you guys could see it. Maybe we'll start doing some throwback shows some other time, but those shows are really good. If you go over to the KOA YouTube, I'm sure they're there. I'm pretty sure they're there. And those links are always in our show description. So anyways, so this axiom, I'm going to give us kind of an overview of what this really is telling us, and then we'll get into each of these lines in this axiom. So this is really more than just a lifestyle. It should be a way of being. It's like a spiritual code that calls to us to live in harmony with what is real, what is rooted, and what is true. It's a call to alignment with natural law, with the flow of life. We call that the force, the cycles of the seasons, and the truth that do not change. I teach that we should not be forcing things. We say that a lot. And we should never be forcing things to be what they're not and what they can't be, and not resisting to what life is showing us. I did that, and it cost me 6 months of my life. It means observing the world in the moment, the person in front of you, and responding with wisdom, truth, light, not control. We talk about this a lot, don't we? We talk about stop trying to control everything.
Every episode, I swear.
At least. So to live in accordance with the nature of things is to walk with the force, not from it, against it, but with it.
I started reading this book over the last couple days. I'm only halfway through it, and it's by Wayne Dyer, which I love his work.
I do too.
And it was what is the name? Lose your excuses, or lose your excuses, something along those lines. But it was talking about exactly this principle. And it's like, when you start walking the path, when you start living in authenticity and awareness, because awareness is the counter to ego, as you start going through life, it doesn't mean your life just opens up and it's all great things.
Mm-hmm.
But the way you know you're into a place of enlightenment is when those things happen. It's neither good or bad. It just is, and you flow with those moments.
Right.
You exist with those moments, which is exactly what you're describing. And it can be difficult, like when you said you broke your leg. That is a great example of life coming to a halt. All of a
Yeah.
sudden, you can't do half the things you normally could do. You lose most of your efficiency because you can't get around.
Mm-hmm.
And accepting where you're at in those moments can be debilitating.
Yeah.
It's exactly that. It's the more you can allow yourself to be less rigid in your lifestyle, but to allow life to happen as it unfolds before you, to go with the ebb and flow, the more in harmony you'll be with it and yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And the less it will impact you. And that'll make those moments that could be quote unquote good or bad just moments.
Yeah.
Which is the ultimate goal of this, is to experience life for what it is without judgment.
Yes. Yeah.
And kind of like you said, and that's something I thought about when you brought up this topic for us discussing this today, is the seasons. Because when it comes down to it, I remember when I was in the thick of it, I was already months into my training, and it's like, man, when is this gonna end? I want to get to a good place again. And you're like, stop resisting it. Stop looking at it like that, because this disharmony is what's needed to balance and bring harmony back in your life. This is a necessary transition. And I've really spent a lot of time reflecting on that message because it was the truth. I was growing, I was evolving, and growing is painful, especially when you're really starting out.
Mm-hmm.
And so, to speak to what you're saying, we have seasons of winter where we need rest, spring where we are growing and becoming more, summer where we are maintaining momentum and flourishing, and fall where we are reaping our harvest and trying to bed down for the hard nights ahead.
Yeah.
And that's life. That's not something that's avoidable. And it's, again, not good or bad. It is just the nature of things.
Yeah. Yeah, because you have to lose things. There are things holding you back that you don't want to let go of. And you have to let them be removed. And yes, they're removed very systematically, very slowly, but not at a pace that breaks you. And that's the point, is to let you survive while that stuff is happening, and that was probably one of the biggest chunks of shadow work I ever did, was during that time. Yeah, I went through 4 seasons sometimes in a day.
Yeah.
Almost every day, until I finally got some momentum and some traction. And then I started to, everything started picking up again.
What I'd be as bold as to say is, when you're starting this journey, you're going to go through all 4 seasons often, daily, weekly, whatever, because as you're starting to process your emotions, learn to find guidance within yourself, and let all these things you stored up go, you're going to go from joy to anger to sadness all in a day.
Yeah.
Guaranteed, multiple times throughout the journey. Like, more often than not in the beginning. That's how it was for me, at least.
I mean, that's a very natural thing. I think we all, as you said, we all go through that. And it's very natural. There are some things that are different between people, but the process is pretty much standard, we'll say, across the board, because it is a very natural thing. And that's what we're talking about today, flowing with nature. So this axiom talks about living close to the land. And we'll get deeper into each of these. These are kind of some overviews, just for those of you who need that quick overview. Living close is speaking to the idea of simplicity and sacred grounding. To live close to the land is to remember that your home is not in excess, but in essence. The luminari do not seek status through accumulation, but through alignment. Always trying to move ourselves to be in alignment with the flow, with the force. We live simply so that our hearts could be full. We stay close to the earth because that's where truth still breathes. And whether you live in the forest or a city or a small apartment, the principle is this: stay rooted, stay grateful, stay present in the natural world. This axiom is talking about going deep into the heart of meditation. Well, that's the core of the practice of meditation. Meditation is not about escaping. It's about descending into your heart, into your wounds, your wisdom, your longing, your light. In my teachings, the heart is not just a metaphor, and it's not just a physical thing that pumps blood. It's, as we talked about the other day, it's a chakra, it's a power center, it's a spiritual compass. It's the seat of the soul. Going into the heart in meditation is how we remember what matters. It's how we feel the force. It's how we soften our edges and reclaim our humanity. The luminari must return to the heart daily. And I do. And I know you do too, Michael.
Yeah.
Not as an obligation, but as a homecoming.
Yeah, I look forward to it every day. The more I focus on my heart, the more I work with my heart, the more I'm able to, I mean, for me, everything I went through the last couple years, I've seen people break over any one thing out of the three big things I went through. And the thing that has kept me going is allowing myself to spend time with my heart, to heal that pain, to process and depressurize all those emotions and traumas so that I can view them through the heart's lens, which is understanding and compassion, especially for myself, because that's always where I struggled. It was always that for everyone else. And instead of seeing myself in a negative light, it was seeing just how strong I was. And I think a lot of us could benefit from that if we were to take time to spend with our heart, to love ourselves for all our shortcomings, all our failures, because each one of those were so important for us to become who we are and to learn what we've learned.
Yeah. Very well said.
The heart's the greatest teacher.
It is. It really is. So, and in dealing with others, always stand by your word. This is integrity. This is honor. This is the bridge between who you say you are and how you show up, right?
Yeah.
Your word is your bond. In our teachings, your word is an extension of your light, which is your truth, the truth. If your words are misused through lies, manipulation, abandonment, they fracture trust. But if your words are true and you stand by them, you create something unshakable: integrity, respect, presence.
Yeah.
So before we get into this, just let me say this axiom is a guidepost for life. You know, it's a path, it's a map, it's a callback to sacred simplicity. Let things be what they are. Live simply and close to nature. Return to your heart. Speak truth and keep your word. And this isn't just some magical formula for spiritual living. It's a path to peace, clarity, powerful alignment with the divine. It's how the luminari walk with grace through this chaotic world. So let's go.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
One thing I just wanted to add to all this is, I mean, we've talked a lot recently about radical responsibility, where there's another big thing that people are discussing in the same area, and it's called radical honesty. And I mean, as we discover our vulnerabilities, as we learn to accept these parts of ourselves that aren't perfect, that's part of being impeccable with our word. And yeah, it doesn't mean share this with every person in your life, but those you trust and love, to express your weaknesses, your struggles. And as you begin to open up, start developing that honesty with others, radical honesty. I will tell no lies to those I care about. And most importantly, I will not tell any lies to myself. I will not try to inflate my ego. I will not try to put myself on a pedestal. Again, what Justin is saying about being your word, it's more than just saying, I'm going to be a good person. I'm going to be noble. I'm going to stand up to anyone who's doing wrong. It's much more than that. It is being honest with everything, good and bad. Because the more we can develop relationships with people in our lives that are authentic, that are true, the more we have that honesty, the more we create deeper connections, more authentic connections. And that's when we start to remove those masks that we try to wear in front of everybody and try to parade around as, to try to be seen as something we're not, when who we are is more than enough. And often, from my experience, the more you act in alignment with who you truly are, the more people will admire and resonate towards you. You'll magnetize them because people want to know who you are. We get so lost in our heads and judging ourselves for every little thing. But the more we can put that away and realize that's just the mind yapping, that we are not our mind, we are a pure soul that has experiences, the more we can let that shine through, the more the world will welcome us.
Yeah. And if they don't, that's okay.
They weren't supposed to be a part of it.
That's right. So that's absolutely right.
And this is one of those things, it's not the flip of a switch. It's practice, 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 and patience, patience, patience.
Practice, practice, practice. The 6 P's: practice, 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 patience, patience, patience. Yeah.
I found it funny in Wayne Dyer's book, one of the lines in the book's practice, practice, practice. I was like, yeah.
So let's go through this axiom line by line. Indwelling, live close to the land. Now, this isn't just about geography. It's about reconnection, reorientation, realignment. We do that. We say that a lot. Alignment, alignment, alignment. We're going to do things by 3s maybe from now on.
It's a lot. It's a good number.
It is a good number. It's a call back to the sacred rhythm that we've forgotten, the pulse of the earth, the breath of the wind, the wisdom of still waters. In the path of the luminary, to live close to the land means more than where you place your home. But don't build on sand. We'll talk about that. But it's about how you anchor your life, your thoughts, your energy, your spirit. So let's talk about grounding through connection. I know this is something that you talk about a lot, and maybe not directly, but grounding through connection. So when we dwell close to the land, physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally. We tap into this kind of original harmony of creation, that first pulse. The earth doesn't
Yeah.
rush, it doesn't force, it doesn't overcomplicate. It teaches us to be, to flow, to trust in the cycles of life. Spending time in nature, which I would recommend everybody do, reminds us that there is a time to plant. You were just talking about seasons just a minute ago.
You know?
There is a time to plant. There is a time to rest. There is a time to bloom, a time to let go, just like the seasons. I'll hand it off to you there. You kind of started that.
No, and there's a lot of truth to that. It wasn't where I thought you were going to go with connections, but I do believe that connections are so vital to our existence. Even the greatest sages talk about the importance of connection. Just a few moments ago, I was talking about how as we develop these authentic connections where we can be fully ourselves, one of the most important reasons connection is important is everyone acts as a mirror to who we are. We see our reflection within the way others treat us, and it can have great impact, whether good or bad. But when we have these authentic connections and this trust, we can really begin to understand ourselves better. A lot of weaknesses we see, others can find the strength in. And in turn, a lot of the strengths we think we have, others can help us find the weakness in and help us balance ourselves out. And in turn, we do that for them, especially when you have a genuine connection where you can talk to each other about the good and the bad without judgment, without criticism. Because that's what none of this is.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I liked your expression of sort of the Big Bang because we all are the same essence. We're all spirit. And I mean, my personal beliefs is we are all aspects of this divine entity. We are all meant to coexist together, to have connection with one another. I think when we get to a place of utopia, there will be a grand connection between everyone. I don't think that's going to be in our lifetime, but end goal humanity is divine connection. There is no judgment. It's just acceptance and prosperity between everyone.
Right. Yeah. So the cost of being disconnected, disharmonious, out of balance, out of sorts. In modern life, we live in boxes, right? We stare at screens. I'm staring
Yeah.
at Michael through a screen right now. We walk on pavement, but we forget to feel the ground. We forget to walk in the dirt. We forget to touch the grass as people, as the younger kids are starting to say a lot. I love that too, by the way. You need to get out and touch the grass, you know? And it's true. We've become disconnected from this soil that feeds us, the air that sustains us, the light that rises every morning without our permission. The stuff happens without our control, to our benefit. So what happens? We go through these cycles of anxiety and depression. Our minds race out of control. Our emotions explode and contract and explode and contract and rip us into 1,000 different pieces without any kind of way to chill.
Yeah, well, I think one of the biggest things, our mind becomes not only our only true friend, but the only thing we trust. And that becomes so dangerous. That's one thing I see in so many places, so many people who are suffering. And it's because they live in their minds, because they don't have that deep connection to release that tension and have that discussion to help pull themselves out of the systems and beliefs they've accumulated over time.
We talked about that a lot with the ego versus the soul show that we did. You ever notice that and I won't call them bad things, but you always notice that the things, no matter what we're talking about, these disharmonious things that happen to us are all very similar. Our minds are affected the same way. Our bodies are affected the same way. Our souls are kind of crushed under this nonsense.
Yeah.
But disconnection from nature is disconnection from the sacred order of life. Nature was here before us. It created a place for us to physically live and walk and grow. And the more we drift into complexity, the more we hunger for simplicity. The more we acquire, the more we long for peace. And the land is always ready to receive us. The question is, are we willing to return?
Well said. I mean, I know you're not a huge fan of talking about the void, but I think so much people confuse what they really want in life. They think it's all about material desires, stature, and reputation. We mentioned that a little bit earlier, but the more we can find wholeness within ourselves, within our lives, the man who is most fulfilled is the man who yearns for nothing. And that doesn't mean he has everything he's ever wanted. It's that he does not desire. And that's not something you can just cut out of your system.
Yeah.
That you can't just not desire.
There was
It's
a
one of the
giant
things.
hole left in you.
Yeah, the Buddha talks about that. It's
Buddha.
yeah. what is it? The root of suffering is desire, is attachment to what we want.
Right.
And
it's not that I don't like talking about the void. I just don't like calling it the void. I prefer to call it the potential. We could do a show every day about the void. It wouldn't bother me. I just don't call it the void.
Well, and that's really what it is, because when we see it as lack, that's what we attract into our lives.
It is when you're disharmonious. It's a void.
That would be a good episode, though. Yeah, because the transmutation of it.
But it can be a field of probability, possibility, potential. When you're in balance, when you're in harmony, that becomes that. It's no longer a void.
So you said living in alignment is what changes that. So I know fear, insecurity, things like that, which is out of alignment with who we are. What allows us to shift from that void feeling of emptiness to it actually being a chasm of potential?
Right. Yeah. So a few little things we can do to kind of start to reconnect to literally our roots, right? Because we are both stardust and we are dust of the earth in one. So it's important to make sure we're grounded to the earth, but also seeking something higher. And when you can do that in a balanced way, like you said, you get back in alignment, then those voids and those black holes that are, sucking the life out of you, become potential, become probability, become something more positive. And when we say live close to the land, I don't mean you need to pack up everybody and move out to a cabin in the woods, right? You can probably be fun for a little bit, and camping's fun. I love camping. This requires a mindful presence and deliberately stepping back into harmony by grounding yourself. So here's a few things. Step outside daily, even if it's just for a couple of minutes. Feel the sun. I do this every morning. I love it. Feel the sun. Listen to the birds. Right now they're chirping, they're singing. It's great. Walk barefoot if you can, right? There's something to be said about walking barefoot. I can't walk barefoot in grass anymore. I'll tell you a quick story that I was telling one of my coworkers the other day, because ironically we were talking about touching the grass and grounding. I haven't walked in grass barefooted since I was about, 5 years old, 6 years old, because I stepped on a bee and then I found out that I was allergic to bees and it almost killed me. And literally from that day on, I've never stepped barefoot into grass, but I will walk through the dirt. I will walk through the mud. I'll do that stuff instead. I miss walking in the grass, but I can't take a chance to do it because then I'm dead. And then you guys have to just listen to Michael all by himself forever. So
you don't want that.
And then maybe you want that. I don't know. Let us know in the comments whether you want that. Grow something, start a garden or grow a plant, care for a plant. And it doesn't have to be this big backyard garden. It could be a simple little herb that you're growing in your windowsill that you're going to consume later. What really matters about this is that you're nurturing life, and that helps ground your spirit, because our true calling is service to that interconnected web that binds us all together, like you were saying earlier. One thing that I need to do better at, and maybe you too, I don't know, declutter your space. Now, my space isn't cluttered.
I feel really called out right now.
I'm calling myself out because you guys can't see it, and you'll never see it because there's a big doom pile right here at my feet from stuff that was on my desk, just so I could get the camera to sit and not fall over. Okay, so I don't have clutter. I don't have, you know what I mean? I'm not like boxes following me and stuff, but I do have disarray sometimes. And I always do feel better, though, when Heather finally convinces me to clean it up. Declutter your space. Simplify your surroundings. Let your dwelling reflect what truly matters. Peace, clarity. And it lets you feel like you can breathe a little further out, right?
And there's a lot of truth to feng shui, right? Like,
yeah.
Well,
oh my God.
It really helps, because when you have all that clutter around you, like you come home, you just drop your stuff somewhere,
Mm-hmm.
you just leave it there, and then you do it again and again and again each day. It's like you're putting boxes or a fort around you. But once you clean it up, then you can completely breathe. You feel, what's the word I'm looking for? More uplifted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
and I'm looking at my desk, slowly grabbing things like, no, I can look at this later.
I've noticed though, when my stuff is cluttered, like in my room or in my living room or whatever, if I don't clean it, I feel like I'm suffocating and I feel out of sorts.
And it
So
affects your mood
and
and
it does.
everything.
It
Yeah.
will affect my mood and everything. So then I have to really deep clean, not really deep clean, but reorganize and get rid of all the trash in a better aspect. You know, you have all this junk in your head. Okay, that's extra trash you don't need. Well, that's the same kind of stuff you got all over your house.
Yeah.
Get rid of the trash, clean up your space, and open up a little more.
Yeah. I know there's that one girl on Netflix. Cannot remember her name, but it's all about making 3 piles, and it's like, what do I need? What do I want to keep? And then what can I get rid of?
Mhm.
And then going through the what I want to keep. And it's like, if you haven't used it in a year, thank it for what it's done for you and get rid of it.
Yeah, I don't have those kind of problems because I go through this place all the time, and I'm kind of drill sergeant-ish about it. I was like, you haven't wore this in like 6 months. Do you even need it? What I do is I collect mail. That's what just usually is on my desk. Bunch of mail, and then I go through and I throw it away. So yeah, declutter, make you feel better. So to live close to the land is to live close to source.
Yeah.
Trade excess for essence. Excess for essence, right?
And even if you're in a city and you don't have a car, there are parks in almost every major city. Go to a park, find a stream somewhere, go somewhere where there is ground if you can't find anything, where it's just soil, and expose yourself to it. And kind of like Justin was saying with sunlight, it's so good for you. The amount of vitamins you get just from 15 minutes of daily exposure, it's incredible.
Yeah. I mean, even if you have nothing around you, go get a bucket of dirt, pour it on your back porch, and stand in it. It works just fine. We're lucky we live in Colorado, so there is nature and dirt everywhere.
In abundance.
You can't even keep it out of your house. There's so much of it. Oh. Yeah. We're going to have to go on some adventures, you and I, to show these folks some of these really beautiful places here.
I think that's a great idea.
That would be fun. That would be fun.
I know I've been doing biking the trails in Denver, which are surprisingly full of nature, and I've been tempted to just get a GoPro to put on my helmet and use that as backdrops for recordings or whatever.
That'd be cool. That would be cool. So it's to trade excess for essence, noise for stillness, speed for rhythm, confusion for clarity. We should not be trying to dominate the earth because that is impossible. We should be walking with it. We should try to listen to its pulse. We should dwell in its wisdom and remember who we are, not above the earth, of it, you know?
That essence inside of us, it's in all of living things. You know, a lot of the shamans, what they used to do, you hear about tree huggers and stuff. Well, it's like each tree, and this has been proven, each tree has their roots go into the network. And in a forest, all the roots of the trees are interconnected, and they can speak to one another. It's crazy. And shamans believed that they could hold a tree and feel the energy within the tree and communicate with the whole forest through the tree. Go hug a tree. See how good it feels embracing that type of pure energy.
Are you making fun of me because what I do for a living? Is that what you're doing?
Low key, yeah. You got
Is that
me.
what you're doing? Part of my job, for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, part of my job is I manage the forest in this place that I work, and it's gigantic, and there's 1 billion trees, and yeah.
This got your work cut out for you, that's for sure.
Yeah, we could cut down 100,000 trees and still have 5 million too many, but my kids call me the Lorax now.
That's great. Oh my God.
You were talking about that network, mycelium. I learned this about a year ago. Mycelium really is the fiber optics that make all that communication possible. Think about the
most intelligent species on the planet.
Yeah, think about all the fiber optics that's bringing this show to you guys right now through the millions of networks and wires and stuff. But imagine if those wires were alive, right? That's
crazy.
The forest is an amazing ecosystem. Any final words on the first line of that axiom?
No, I think we went over that pretty good.
All right, cool. So the next one is, in meditation, go deep into the heart. It sounds cool. It's beautiful, kind of poetic, but it's not really just poetic. It's instructional. It's telling you literally what to do. It's inviting you. If you don't like being told what to do, like me sometimes, it's inviting you to step beyond the surface of the mind and enter the inner sanctum of the soul, the heart. So we teach that the heart, again, is more than just a physical organ. It's a physical chamber. It can be a temple of stillness, a temple of love, a temple of memory, a temple of light, of truth. And it's only by descending or ascending, depending on where you're at, Sometimes we're here, sometimes we're here. By going to that place, we begin to truly know and understand ourselves and align with what you may call the divine. But that also helps us align and understand others.
Well, it's like you said in the last episode we did on the chakras. It's the bridge between all the chakras.
Ooh.
When we get into the heart is what connects us both to ourselves but to the world around us. It is so important because you can learn so much by learning to sit in your heart. And sometimes it's hard truths. It's not always butterflies and rainbows, but I tell you what, the more you learn to listen to it, the more you learn to attune to the messages within your system, the more divine guidance you will have in your purpose and your path.
Yeah. And you were talking about how the mind kind of tricks us and plays with us sometimes. The mind will spin, and it spins this doubt, and it overanalyzes negative things. But the heart knows. It knows, like you just said. The heart feels what words can't encompass. It recognizes truth before truth ever even gets to you, right? It won't steer you wrong. It loves you more than you love anything else.
It's one of the greatest places your intuition talks to you.
Yes. Yeah.
That and your gut.
And that's why it is the bridge. It really is. So when we go deep into our heart during meditation, we enter a space and we start to encompass things like compassion, not just for ourselves but others. Awareness, not of what we think, but of what we are. Stillness, the kind of stillness that heals wounds and silences fear. In this space right here, we are no longer chasing enlightenment. We are remembering it. It's being recalled back to us.
Yeah. Well, we talked about it with the interview with Brenda, and I love this so much. I firmly believe when we come into this world, we are pure light. We are pure awareness. But as life begins to challenge us, we deal with tough relationships, traumas, emotional damage. We begin forming these masks and these layers to try to fit in and to survive. And then the path is removing these layers to get back to that light of our innocence.
Mhm.
Because it's within that light is where we have true authenticity. When you were a baby, you cried and you got fed. You wanted loved and they were held. And it wasn't like you thought about other people in that process. You knew what you needed and you asked for it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And all too often, meditation is treated as just simply a mental technique. And some of them are. I'm not arguing that. But when I teach meditation, I'm encouraging people to go deeper, deeper, deeper. Go to the deepest part. Because it's not about emptying the mind. It's about filling the heart for me. When I teach meditation, I want you to fill your heart. Your mind's going to do what it's going to do. And sometimes it doesn't have our best interests at heart. Right? But again, it's about kind of dropping down or digging in layer by layer by layer until you reach that quiet center where light is always there. The light's always on.
Yeah. The more you learn to tune into it, the more you learn to listen to your system instead of your mind. I mean, I know I've brought this up before. I'm a big advocate for our minds tend to be tainted by the emotions we feel, and it'll run on whatever tangent we begin to feel. That's why when you get really angry, you start yelling and getting upset. It's because the mind got touched by the energy going on in here. But the more you can sit within yourself, sit with the sensation and the feeling, allow your heart to speak to you there and not let your mind try to intellectualize everything you're going through, the more you can work through your issues and truly find a place of peace.
Yeah. A lot of your training, Michael, has come down to me instructing you, and not for the sake of memorizing what I'm saying, but to remember what's already there. We talk a lot about, you and I, teacher to student, we talk a lot about, I'm here to help you remember. I'm here to help you wake up. Every single atom of information that's ever been and ever will be is already contained. And the access point is here. You just got to remember. I just got to help you remember the things that you've forgotten. And that's why, when we say go into the heart in meditation, you're not going there to find silence just for the sake of nothing or nothingness or the void. You're there to get down deep so that you can find the guidance, so you can find the healing, the wholeness. And what you'll find there, if you keep going back, is sort of that voice of the force or that voice of creation, that whisper of divine.
Yeah.
The memory of who you are beneath the noise of this world.
Well, one of the things I got to throw onto that is, so many people get lost in meditation when it's, I keep having thoughts. I can't stop my thoughts. And mind you, your thoughts are not the messages we are talking about.
Mm-mm.
It's an intuitive knowing.
Yeah.
It is a quietness that speaks to you and not a loud voice in your mind. And one of the points of meditating is to learn how to become the observer of your thoughts and not be the one identifying with your thoughts. And that takes time. But as you start to separate that, as you start to get away from your mind and see them as just clouds floating by, the
Mm-hmm.
more you start getting in touch with those internal messages, that internal knowing, that intuitive awareness.
Because you're removing those blocks of control. You're just observing something that you have identified with your whole life, but you're just letting them move and letting them flow through you, past you. And when they are important, they will stop. They will get your attention, as you pointed out.
Yeah. And I can say I'm a couple years into this. I still have those thoughts that are just, I call them sticky, because that's what they are. You see them start floating by, and then you get that one that's just like stored trauma, and it tries to grab your attention and take you
Mm-hmm.
down that spiral. And man, when that happens, it takes some work to start, all right, get back to stillness. Here
Mm-hmm.
comes the thought again. All right, I see you this time. And
I see
sometimes
you.
it'll change its voice, change how it approaches it. But it'll be like, hey, let's go for a ride. But
Mm-hmm.
so practice,
Yeah.
and patience.
Patience. But to practice that way teaches us discernment. It teaches us how to let things be without judging them and trying to control them. And it's a process. It takes a while. It could take you 20 years or it could take you 4 months. That part is up to you. I can't, there are no shortcuts. You are what you are and you're at whatever point you're at. And like I said, it could be 20 years, it could be 4 months. No teacher can ever dictate that to you. You have to just work it and work it and work it. So let's talk about the power of introspection and stillness. You know how much I love introspection.
Oh, yeah.
When life feels chaotic, uncertain, heavy, your heart is the one place that remains accessible. And I would kind of say unbroken and steady, although it doesn't feel like it sometimes. You know, we talk about broken hearts, but usually we get broken hearts because we don't want to let things go. And that's not a heart problem. That's us kind of arguing with the heart and the truth of how things are supposed to be. And don't think of stillness as inaction. Again, it's alignment. Alignment must be the word of the day, I think. It's alignment. It's a return to that eternal present, that present moment where healing begins and truth becomes clear.
Yeah. I mean, again, it's that soft voice instead of that loud voice. I mean, often we feel pain in our hearts. Heartbreak is a very real thing. I'm sure anyone listening has gone through it at some point in time. And it's being able to take that as that pain as a message.
Yeah,
And often it's not about where we've but it's more about what lessons do I need to learn? What was the incompatibility here?
right. It's supposed to be about what you said, but most of us get stuck in the how did I mess up?
Yeah, or
Yeah.
blame.
Blame.
Which, I mean, often blame can be a thing. Often there is chaos in a relationship and it's more on one side than another, but we must be accountable with the part we played in our own suffering, whether that was staying too long and putting up with things,
Mm-hmm.
or was us trying to be controlling and dictators.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny you said that because through these kind of deep, heart centered meditations, you do learn to transmute pain into purpose, right?
Yeah.
You transform your fear into faith. You can replace confusion with clarity.
It's part of what brought me here.
Yeah.
Transmutation of all that pain I went through.
Yeah.
It led me to my purpose. Pain is one of the greatest gifts, in my opinion. I'm thankful for the pain I've gone through because that pain became the catalyst to my growth, to me discovering what I wanted to do with my life.
Yeah.
And to where I'm at today.
Right. Because challenges
Along with some good guidance.
a little bit of good guidance. Challenges never go away. They don't just, you don't get to a point where you go, bam, perfect. That's not how any of this works. They don't disappear. They do get easier to deal with over time.
Yeah.
Especially when we can look at challenges and pain and some of these things as teachers, not tormentors, right?
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like we were talking about earlier. It's realizing as things happen in our life because they are inevitable. There's no blissful life where nothing happens to us, but it's being able to remove the good and bad from it, but to go with the flow, to feel life, meet life where it's at, and give it your best self that you can in that moment, even if that means resting and recouping.
It's a lot of resting and recouping. Probably just as much or more. There should be more. Should rest. Rest is good for you. Remove yourself from all the chaos from time to time and rest.
And it's like I remember they started introducing nap rooms in businesses, and I thought that was the stupidest thing. And now
Not
I'm
me,
like,
man.
that's good business practice. I joke with my COO all the time. I'm like, so when are we going to start having a nap room? When are we going to get that implemented in the company?
What do you say?
Nah.
Nah.
Too small a company.
Nah.
You can take breaks as often as you want, whenever you want, but you're not going to do it on our time, and you got to find your own place to sleep.
The older I get, the more I look forward to nap rooms. I can't find that happening. So, kind of to button up this portion of the axiom, the deeper you go into the heart, the higher you rise in spirit. Is my belief. So when you when you sit in meditation, don't just breathe, descend or ascend. Like I said, where are you at? Come here to the center. Let every breath carry you further in. Let every little bit of silence you can muster and stillness start to build a doorway for you to your heart. And just remember, you're not lost. You're home. When you go here, you're not lost. You're going home. So, the old saying, home is where the heart is, right?
Yeah.
That's an old saying. I don't know where it comes from, and I'm sure somebody will look it up and maybe put it in the comments, but it's older than me, so it had to have been long before me. Home is where the heart is.
I'm not going to lie, what you said there really hit a note with me that I need to reflect on more. That with the depth of my heart, I've been dealing still with a lot of the grief of everything I've gone through. And I've been struggling with it. And it kind of bugs me that I'm still struggling with it. And again, no judgment, no criticism there for myself. But
good.
It's true. It's how deep have I been willing to go in my heart to feel those things? Because I think that is a big part of why they're still there. Why I struggle with it still is there's a level of depth I still need to reach within my own heart to feel that grief, that sadness, that anger, that helplessness.
Some dirt's harder than others to dig through, man.
Truth. Oh my God.
I mean, it is. And I'm glad you're not judging yourself. I'm glad you're, giving yourself grace because, you may go another 30 years and finally get to the deepest part of your trauma or deepest part of your grief. And that's okay.
Yeah, the way I look at it, I'm 32 years I spent conditioning myself to avoid this stuff. I'm only 2 years into learning how to really sit with it and go into it. Like, I'm not supposed to have this all figured out.
And if you do, awesome. If you don't, it's okay. Some people need 20 years. Some people need 4 months. That's just who's to say. And that part is up to each of you to bring. And there's no shame in it. It's not a race. I say that a lot. It's not a race. Stop trying to race everybody. So the last part of this line or this axiom is in dealing with others, always stand by your word. We talked about this during the 3 episodes we did, the 12 agreements. Talked a lot about responsibility, accountability, and all the other virtues. This isn't just about communication, though. Standing by your word. I know it's like with the 4 agreements, be impeccable with your word, right? But it's not really just talking about what you're saying. It's not just talking about communication. It's talking about your character. What's the word I'm looking for? We teach that your word is more than just a tool for interaction, is what I'm trying to say. It's an energetic promise.
That's a good way to phrase it.
It's a bridge between intent and impact, between truth and trust, which was a great show we did. That was a really good show.
That was.
When you speak, you shape your reality, literally. When you stand by your word, you bring order to chaos in a moment for the future, maybe even. But when you fail to honor your word, and I get in arguments. I used to get in arguments. I don't argue with what's anymore. I used to get in arguments with people who would say, it's impossible to keep your word all the time. And I would say, really? Okay. Go ask the people that have been with me the longest. My wife and I have been together 24 years, almost 25. And I have never broken my word. Have I?
Nope.
Not one time. Not one time I've ever broken my word to her or my children or anyone else. So it is possible. It's hard. It's really hard to keep your word all the time. And, I'm not talking about, you make plans and you get sick, and that's not what I'm talking about. But if you make a promise with your words to someone, you're making a big total promise, an energetic promise. And when you stand by that, you're creating something impossibly impactful. Like it's trust me when I say this. But when you fail to honor your promises, you will start to sow and breed confusion, mistrust, disharmony in both the lives of yourself and others.
Yeah. When I feel bad for so many, I know I've seen it with so many where they want to promise the world because that's what they want to give, and then they can't give that. Learn where you are at. Learn to meet yourself where you're at, and then to give others who you are in that moment.
And I'm not trying to brag. I mean, I know that sound like I was bragging that I've never broke my word to my wife or my kids or other people.
We also brought up great context there. It's not a matter of, I promised we'd go to the amusement park and I got sick.
Right.
These are the deep, important promises. I will have your back. I will help you do this.
Yeah. And it's hard, but it can be done. It can be done. People want to promise people the world, but they're also sometimes saying that because they think that's what the person wants to hear.
Yeah.
Don't create expectations that shouldn't be there. Don't create conditions on your love. You gotta be impeccable with your words, as he says in the 4 agreements. And part of that is keeping to your word. Your word is your bond. When you say something to people, if they don't believe you, or if they don't just take your word for it immediately, then there may have been some times where you weren't so impeccable.
Yeah. Suppose or worse, they do believe you. You must, like you said, it is an oath to action.
Yeah.
It wasn't your exact words, but that's what it is.
Right. It is.
And breaking that destroys our trust and reputation with others. As we were saying for the last couple minutes, it's imperative to know that, though.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing about honesty and reliability. Honesty creates clarity. Reliability creates stability. Clarity and stability are a really good foundation for all kinds of relationships that have meaning. If you have those two things, you're off to a great start. And when you say what you mean and you follow through with what you say, and this doesn't really, you know what, I'm not even going to say just promises. If you say you're going to show up and you just don't show up and you don't call and you don't follow up, that's bad. If you say you're going to show up and you get sick, or you say you're going to show up and the tires will blow out, whatever, that's not you going back on your word. That's you now dealing with a different thing. I know it kind of sounds like semantics, and this is where people argue about this stuff. But when you do what you say and you follow through and your actions match your words, this is another part of this too. It's not just making promises. You talk the talk and you don't walk the walk, people aren't going to trust you. If you do these things and you follow through and you do walk the walk, people will see somebody who's consistent. People will feel safe with your word and with your actions. They will trust your voice. They will respect your actions. Even if you do something that they weren't expecting you to do, they will just trust you because you've shown them no reason not to.
Yeah. One thing to throw on this too, because it's so important as we start this journey and we're working through things and we make these promises. Expectations are a beautiful thing. And when we say we're going to do something, I am going to work on my anger. I'm going to work on my drinking. I'm going to work on these things in my life. There is also grace and love within the communication as we build these authentic connections, because again, there's no light switch here. It's practicing it. So you may slip up, but people will see when you are progressing, when you are holding to what you say you're going to do. And again, that does not mean you're flawless in your efforts, but it means you're making progress and that you're striving to be better in these areas in which you say you will be. And I've seen so many relations break because of it's what broke my 7-year relationship with someone who was addicted to drugs. It was that constant, I'm going to get better, I'm going to stop this. And I kept holding to that expectation, which the expectation was also a problem there. But it was the lack of the walk behind the words. And there would be effort to start, and then it would just go back into the cycle. And I think part of that cycle is the judgment we have for ourselves when we make those kind of commitments. And we do slip up. It's cognitive dissonance, right?
That's a really good point, because keeping your word isn't just about getting people to trust you. It's also getting you to a point where you can trust and count on yourself.
Yeah.
Right? That's what happens. And that's why it's really important too.
Yeah.
So go ahead. Sorry.
Just self-trust is one of the most important things to cultivate. I want to do a whole episode on this here soon, because it's hitting me harder and harder how much people need to learn what self-trust is and how to cultivate it. Because so often we get stuck in these patterns and these habits and these lifestyles that we don't like, and we keep wanting to go from being this person to that person. And to trust ourselves, we must meet ourselves where we're at and take small steps. There's a book, Atomic Habits. I would recommend anyone and everyone to read it. It's one of my top 5.
It's a good one.
And he talks about how real change isn't in those big decisions you make. It's in the 1, 2, 3 degree changes you make on a daily basis. A plane that is flying to London, if it changes course by 3 degrees, by the time it gets that distance, it's going to be landing in Africa.
Yeah.
Real change is small and takes progress.
And there's another book that I would recommend. It's got a lot of axioms about what you're talking about.
What book would that be?
I think it's called like The Light Within. Something like that.
Oh, I've read. That's a good one. I highly recommend everyone listening needs to listen to that one or pick that one up.
So this goes back to what, and these are kind of my final thoughts on this line of the axiom. And this actually kind of is a callback to what you said, I believe, the last show. Words are sacred. They're like spells. They shape futures and they fortify relationships. I think it was last show you said they were spells, kind of. Maybe the show.
Yeah, words are magic. Words are magic.
Words are magic. So when you speak, let it come from here and here. We're talking about chakras.
Yeah. Not from here.
Yeah. So let it match your values. Walk the walk. You talk the talk, but walk the walk too. Let your promises be reflections of your soul. Come from here. Because to stand by your word is to stand in truth. And that's what we seek. That's what we strive for that's why we practice and practice and practice and practice this stuff. So
Yeah.
any final words on that?
No, I think we covered this one thoroughly.
Good. So some insights from the light within. I'm kind of segueing into that. Live in accordance with the nature of things. Again, this is not just kind of a guiding principle. It's a bridge. We talk about bridges a lot lately. I must be obsessed with bridges. I don't know. It's a bridge between chaos and harmony. The line in our code, chaos yet harmony, and the other line in our code, passion yet serenity. These things, these principles that we're talking about, they bridge chaos and harmony. They bridge passion and serenity between what's stirring.
I'd be as bold as say as all the different codes truly tie into this. Peace yet emotion.
Yes.
I mean, harmony is not something that's a line that's in the middle. Harmony is the ebb and flow of both light and dark.
Yes. Our esteemed Master Thompson one time was doing a show with my student, and I was watching. And I was screaming at the top of my lungs when he kept saying there was no balance. Balance is a lie. There's no such thing as balance. Yes, there is, but not in this perfect alignment, as you just said.
Yeah.
It's a flow. Sometimes it's here. Sometimes it's here. But we're always seeking to get here. It's a continuous dance, right?
Yep.
Here we go, like this. Balance doesn't mean you go, got it, locked in, perfect,
Yeah.
go.
Well, again, it's being able to go with those motions. The more you can surrender, the more you can release control and accept life for what it is.
Right.
The more you're going to find yourself on top. The more you remove good and bad and just experience everything for what it is.
Mm-hmm. And we're kind of talking about this right now because really what we teach and what we explore is finding that sync between the natural order. And whenever we go too far, conflict arises, disharmony arises, all these other things we've already talked about. Chaos can erupt when we resist what is. And we just keep resisting, or it can go this way too. Doesn't matter.
No.
Passion burns uncontrollably. A lot of our fellows will teach passion is bad, passion's not bad. When it burns like a freaking wildfire, yeah, it's bad then because it's out of balance. It's out of harmony.
Yeah.
Because if you have all passion but no purpose, you're going to be in trouble. You got to have passion with purpose. And again, once we learn the nature of things, then surrender. Here's surrender again. Surrender to what's truly real.
I would even say passion without purpose is just self-indulgence.
It's a lot of things. Yes. Yeah. It could be a lot of things that aren't good in the long run.
Yeah.
Not sustainable. So I know how much you like metaphors, and I'm going to give you a metaphor. Let's see if you like this one. I want you to think of a river. Think of a river, your favorite river. You can make it up. It could be a floating river. It could be a river in space. I don't care. Think of a river. And as it flows in its natural course, it flows with strength and grace at the same time. It nourishes all the land around it. It sustains life, and it finds its way through stone. Eventually, through gentle force. But when you try to change its course sharply, or you try to force it uphill, or you block it, what happens? It fights back, it floods, it erodes. It doesn't have its flow anymore. It doesn't have its natural balance. And it's not because the river is wrong. It's because it's being forced to move against its nature. It likes to do this. And if you let it be, it will do it perfectly every time. Now, you're that river. You're the river that you were thinking of. Your energy, your emotions, your truth, they flow best when you stop resisting the natural rhythm of who you are. Seek authenticity. The river is authentic until something disturbs it. So the more you try to control, the more dissonance you create. But when you align with purpose, when you surrender and you let things happen naturally, you find true power. You find clarity. You find peace. And it's not because you're conquering that flow, but because you are becoming one with it.
Well, that's good. I want to be using that one.
Good. You can have it free of charge. I'll give that one to you free.
Perfect.
Any final words before we get to our exercise and affirmations and stuff?
No.
So again, I'll say this axiom reminds us that life isn't meant to be forced. It's meant to be lived, experienced, in rhythm, in resonance, in relationship with all that is. So live close to the land. Meditate deep, deep, deep into your heart. Speak the truth and keep your word. Let go of forcing everything. Follow the flow.
Yeah.
So our exercise for today, because all this stuff is probably really heavy and there's a lot of information, so I'm going to keep it simple. All right, our practical exercise. For dwelling, reflect on how your surroundings align with the natural world. Consider small ways to simplify or reconnect, such as bringing nature indoors or spending time outside a little bit daily, like we talked about earlier. For meditation, dedicate at least 10 minutes. You spare 10 minutes to doing a heart-centered meditation practice, focusing on compassion, forgiveness, self-awareness, whatever. And the last one, for dealing with others. Review recent interactions and ask yourself, have I honored my word? Commit to one specific way to ensure that you incorporate integrity into your dealings this week, and then next week, and you just keep going with it. So very simple exercise. Anything to add to the exercise?
No.
Our affirmation for the day. I live in harmony with the nature of things. I stay grounded in the earth, aligned with my inner truth, and consistent in my words and actions. For our journalers, I love you guys. Reflect on how you currently live in accordance with the nature of things. What areas of your life feel aligned, and what adjustments can you make to foster greater balance and integrity? And for our listener engagement for the day, your listener question, how do you live in harmony with the nature of things? Pretty easy question. Share your practices or experiences using hashtag aligned with nature. So I'm going to end the show, as I have been recently, with a reading from the book, The Light Within. Live in accordance with the nature of things. In dwelling, live close to the land. In meditation, go deep into the heart. In dealing with others, always stand by your word. There is a great and wondrous life to be had when living in harmony with the natural world, both inner and outer, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. This means that we embrace a life of balance, of authenticity and integrity. In your dwelling, connect with the land of the natural world, for it is from nature that we draw sustenance and inspiration. Get outside and touch nature whenever possible. In meditation, delve deep into the recesses of your heart, where the truest and most profound wisdom resides. Be authentic in your contemplations so that you create an unshakable awareness. In your interactions with others, let your word be your bond, standing resolutely by the principles of honesty and trustworthiness. We must live in harmony with the natural world and live in a way that is sustainable and respectful to our environment and to all living things that share it with us. We all share this world, and it's up to each of us to take care of it. Whatever meditation practice you find works best, do it. Make sure that it helps you develop strong self-awareness and mindfulness. Practice with the intent to understand yourself better and to deepen your connection to life, the cosmos, and the very center of your being. Being honest and open is the hallmark of a person who walks the path of light. Do what you say and let your actions speak for themselves. Live a life of integrity, authenticity, and harmony with nature and others. By living in such accordance with the nature of things, you honor the interconnectedness of all existence and find a path of true fulfillment and purpose. We love you guys so very much. Thank you for joining us. With love and gratitude, Ad Lucem.
Ad Lucem.